Hello viewers! Today I want to show you brown rice makgeolli made with my own homemade nuruk. So I'm homebrewing Korean rice wine made with brown sweet rice. The thing about brown rice, in general, brown rice is more nutritious than white rice, but it is more difficult to brew with brown rice. If you like this video, please click that like button and subscribe, and please share this video wherever it is appropriate. So I'm showing you an Eongju today, a two-stage recipe. The first stage is juk, rice flour porridge. Second stage is godubap, hard steamed rice. So I've made some adjustments in this recipe to accommodate the brown sweet rice. There's longer soak time, longer steam time, stronger nuruk, and a longer fermentation time. So those are the adjustments I've made to the makgeolli recipe to accommodate the brown sweet rice. So let's get started. Day 0, we're going to make the juk. 200 grams of rice powder, 900 milliliters of water, and this is just regular rice flour. It's not sweet rice flour. So stir this continuously over medium heat until it thickens up. And I'm showing you the whole thing here so you can see I really mean that. I'm continuously stirring it. I did not step away at all. It will thicken quite suddenly, and you have to be ready. You don't want it to burn. Okay, so it's thick now, and I'm going to set it aside and let it cool to room temperature. Could stir it a few times as it's cooling down. So here's my nuruk. Please see my earlier video to learn how I made it. So I have a bag of these chunks of my homemade nuruk. Let's see how much I have. Okay, and I am going to turn this into a powder. Now it's not super hard, but it does take a bit of effort to grind this up. And that'll make it more effective if it's ground up. Now this is my homemade nuruk. I'm going to use 100 grams. And my homemade nuruk, I know, is more powerful. It contains more enzymes than the supermarket nuruk I usually use. Hopefully it will help ferment the brown sweet rice better than normal. So I add 200 milliliters of water, stir it up, and a quarter teaspoon of wine yeast, which is optional, but I like using the wine yeast. So stir that up and set it aside as we're waiting for the juk to cool. Now the juk is at room temperature. I'm going to pour in the nuruk mixture and carefully fold it in. Right now it's pretty thick and hard to mix up, but as I fold it in more, I'm going to be able to just stir it. It'll become completely liquid, very soupy, and that's what I want. So I want it pourable. I want it liquid enough so I can pour it into the fermentation jar, which I have prepared ahead of time. I've sanitized this jar. All right, and close the lid loosely. We want a loose lid. Put it in the cabinet. It's 18 to 20 degrees Celsius. And then the next day, check it out. There are a lot of small bubbles. Okay, that's good. It's fermenting normally. And I stir it twice a day for the first 2 days. All right, it's day 2. It's time for godubap. This is what we've been waiting for. This is the star of the show, the brown sweet rice. Yummy chapsal. I'm using 800 grams of the brown sweet rice. I'm going to wash this gently just to remove the dust and bad grains. You can't really wash the brown rice the same as you wash white rice. So it's no use washing it too many times, just to get it clean and remove any bad grains. And I'm going to soak this for 12 hours, more than 12 hours. So let's check on the first stage. It's looking good. Bubbles are bigger now. It's still fermenting. So that's exactly what we want from the first stage. Now that the brown rice has soaked for 12 hours, drain it for 30 minutes. Get the steamer ready, and when the steamer is hot, we'll put the brown sweet rice in the steamer, spread it out in the cloth, close it up. And we're going to steam this for 80 minutes, twice as long as we would steam regular sweet rice. We're going to steam the brown sweet rice for 80 minutes. And I spread out the rice to cool to room temperature. Now the brown sweet rice is just not as sticky. It's a little harder to pick up than the regular sweet rice. Regular chopped salad is pretty easy to work with at this stage. The brown sweet rice is a little harder to work with. And I add the cooled brown sweet rice to the first stage. Mix it by hand. Feels good. It's all mixed together. Keep the lid loose again. And back in the cabinet. Day 3, we can see bubbles. So that's, oh, listen to that. Okay, that's really fermenting well. That's one of the purposes of a multi-stage recipe. The first stage really multiplies the yeast. So when the second stage is added, it's really quite vigorous and has enough food to continue fermenting. Day 7, I don't know why this is not uniform horizontally. It's like it's uneven. But we'll keep on watching it ferment. We already see the rice grains are falling from the top, and there's more and more of a layer, a clear layer on top. And the solid bits of rice are falling. It has quite a rich color. I think that's because of both my nuruk, which is a darker color, and the brown sweet rice gives this a richer color than normal. And it smells good as it's brewing. This smells completely normal. I'm happy with how this is progressing. There's fewer and fewer grains of rice on the surface. They're all fallen. But there's not a lot of activity. But I really want the rice to break down as much as possible. So I'm going to let this continue to ferment a lot longer than I would for regular chopped sal. I would have bottled, it's already been 3 weeks, I would have bottled this by now if this was regular chopped sal. So I'm going to let this continue for a full month before bottling. But the chongju layer on top, the clear layer, looks great. Just have to be patient, and it's also relatively cool fermentation temperatures, like I said. So at most, it's 20 degrees Celsius or 68 degrees Fahrenheit. So that's pretty cool temperatures, and that's why it's safe to let this ferment for a longer duration. So now it's day 31. It's been a month. Let's bottle. So I boil my filter bag. This happens to be my new 80 micron filter bag, but it doesn't really matter. You can see my recent videos where I compare the different filter bags of different micron measurements. Okay, turn that over, and I really want to get everything in the jar. There's some stuck on the bottom. I'm going to scrape that off and pour that in. I want to get everything out of here. Also, so I can accurately measure the leftovers after I squeeze it. So I think that's pretty good. The jar looks pretty clean now. I can squeeze this, get as much liquid out as possible. This is a finer bag than I normally use, but doesn't seem to be a problem. I'm able to squeeze this, and what's good is the amount of jjigae, the least left over, is 328 grams. This is a personal best for brown rice. This is the smallest amount of leftover that I've ever had for brown rice. All right, so this step is easy. Just use the funnel, get the brew into the bottles. And of course, the leftovers you can use for compost, or you can feed your chickens with the jjigae. But what we're interested in is the brew itself. Let's give an initial tasting immediately after bottling. Freshest possible makgeolli. Let's see what this is like. Initially, this is very sweet. It's like licking sugar. And then there's a strong, harsh alcohol taste. Now the aftertaste is bitter. That's something I'm going to watch out for. That was just the initial tasting. I'm going to wait a few days, let it settle, and taste it again. So I bottled this 4 days ago, and I want to taste it now. I'm excited for a couple of reasons. One, you can see it's settled. It has settled nicely. Second thing is when I bottled it, I got the smallest amount of jjigae, the leftovers, the smallest amount of leftovers that I've ever had for any of my brown sweet rice brews. So I've brewed brown sweet rice a number of times before, and it always was quite difficult. I mean, there is more fiber in it. There is going to be more leftover than white rice, but it always seemed like I had an excess, and by measuring the amount of leftover, I can tell that's a good measure of how complete the fermentation is. So this is the most complete fermentation I've ever gotten with brown rice. But of course, it's very important. What does it taste like? So now that it's settled, I'm going to drink the changju, some of the changju first. That's some of this layer. I'm going to pour that off and drink that first, see what it tastes like. Then I'm going to mix it up and see what the mixture tastes like. That's called the wanju. Okay, so let me pour off some changju and taste it. Okay, when I open this, I notice there's no gas escaping. There's no carbonation at all. So I'm going to carefully pour this. It's mostly transparent, but a tiny bit cloudy. Smells fruity and nutty. Okay, so changju, pretty strong flavor, but pretty strong in alcohol, strong flavor as well. Aftertaste is a bit bitter, maybe a bit rubbery, so that's not good. I think the bitter aftertaste I'm going to blame on my nuruk. It tends to have a bitter flavor. My homemade nuruk, that's just a characteristic it has. So I hope that dissipates over time. the good aspect of my nuruk is that it's strong enough to ferment the brown sweet rice quite thoroughly. So this has a perfectly respectable flavor up until the end when it gets bitter. So if it didn't have that, I'd say this was an unqualified success. But I'm going to have to age this for a while and see if the aftertaste mellows out a bit. That's what I'm going to hope for. And I'm going to mix this up and try the wanju. All right, so here's the wanju. Let's see what this tastes like. So this does have a good milky taste to it too, like the lactic acid taste that you want. And the wanju has the same same bitterness in the aftertaste. I am happy that I was able to successfully ferment brown sweet rice this time. Got the most complete fermentation that I've ever gotten with brown rice. So you know, the long soaking, the extra time in the steamer, and the extra enzymes, that all seem to work. So I'm glad that part turned out, and I will taste this again, and hopefully it becomes a little less bitter at the finish. I hope everyone is staying healthy. I hope you found this video interesting. Thank you for watching.